What's going on, guys? Welcome to HVAC Grapevine. Chris is a little late, but hey, he should be here any second now. He's just getting back from a ball game, and we got a lot to talk about today. This week's been pretty crazy. We did a couple of jobs on my end. We did we got a whole system we put in. I wanted to talk about with Chris, and we did a whole ductwork job, whole system rip out, and we got to use Ampli. That was fun, and worked on my friend's house, and we had we did a blower door about a month ago, and we got about 800 to about 900 CFM 50. And we just were not at the target. We wanted to hit a tighter house for him. So, what's up, Tom Leach? How you doing, man? We called in a friend. He's doing aero barrier, and he's having really good success with it. And he was able to swing on by to a job site, and we told him we wanted to hit something right around 1 ACH. And man, he knocked out the park. I made a 6-minute video and really got it down to 130 CFM. And we got, my man.
Hey.
I was telling the guys about the aero barrier job I was talking about.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I hope my mic works.
Yeah, you're coming through loud and clear. How's mine?
Coming good, man.
Just made a 2.5-hour drive from the baseball parks of Alabama. Literally just walked in the door.
Alabama. Yeah, I was telling everybody you were at a ball game, so you're running a little behind.
Yep.
Thanks for coming, man.
Yeah.
It would have been a short show, bro.
Never.
If you tripped on that Ethernet cord and crushed it, it would have been a short show.
So,
how'd the kids do?
One complaint. Hold on, man.
Yeah.
So I would have been here like right on time, but lately, every time I close down my MacBook and I boot it back up, it wants to boot up on the Windows side. So I have to restart the computer and hold Option down and get it to go to the Mac side. And so it doesn't happen that often because I rarely ever just turn my computer off, only when I take it somewhere, bring it back. So I got to figure out what's going on with that. It's so annoying, man.
It's rough.
So anyway, I got to see what that's all about. That's my rant and complaint for the day. That's, first world problems over here, bro.
Right? Seriously. Yeah, I got a Windows computer for Quick Model.
Oh, yeah.
And, bro, yeah, it's completely different, man. Completely.
It is. Man, I know they had one time maybe mentioned they might try to do something with on the Apple side. Oh, I wish, man. I wish.
Oh, my God. Don't tell me that.
That'd be so awesome.
Quick Model on Apple.
Which leads us right into our topic for the day.
Yeah, man.
All right. Absolutely. So I don't know where this is going to go, but I got some thoughts on it. And I thought this could be fun to talk about. And, the word culture in a business, that's been tossed around a little bit. Or in my circles, it's been tossed around a little bit the last year or two. It gets talked about more frequently now than it ever used to when I was coming up in the trade. It just wasn't talked about, right?
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I'd like to kind of dig into the importance of it and maybe give my own little. I want to talk about one specific area, behind culture.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I feel like when 20 years ago, I don't think there was really much of a culture in the HVAC community. I could be wrong,
Yes.
but
No,
you
I think
know,
you're absolutely right. It was, we were grinding super blue collar,
right.
hardcore. It was very much like your grandpa's Navy kind of thing, like you just go to work, pound, 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 you go home at
Yeah.
the end of the day and you don't want to talk about it anymore. Uh,
Yes.
that,
Yes.
that,
Yeah. Yeah. I'm
that
good.
I definitely
Dinner's
walked
on.
right into that.
Right. Dinner's on the table. Let's go. Let's cut it out. Exactly. But I
Yep.
mean, dude, Brian Orr, man, made a community.
Yeah, man.
What the
I mean,
heck?
is it all one person? Maybe, I don't know. I mean, he's definitely made a major, and I don't. That's not even the right word. It needs to be a bigger word than that. But major contribution
Like a
to,
Trump huge.
yeah,
Huge.
huge.
Yeah. The
It's
best.
true.
But let me
He,
tell you, dude, when A-Team Adam invited me to NCI with you guys, dude, it was like the same vibe, and there goes the camera. Every time. Every time. It
so
was
you
it was
got
the same vibe, but it was more like, a lot of business owners, it was different but the same, man. And the love they had for each other was amazing.
so so you got that high again. That's a
Yeah.
fun high to get.
Dude.
I remember going to the symposium my first year, man. That dude, you
Oh,
talk about
right
getting
there,
on a
baby.
high. Yeah, yeah, I remember the shirt. That's awesome.
I, I,
You were just like excited.
yeah.
You were not working, but you were talking about work and you were excited to be talking about work.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah. And it wasn't bragging though. There's a fine
No.
line between bragging and just talking about work. And
Right?
you know what I mean? It wasn't a whole lot of conversations in the circles where it's like, well, let me tell you what I did. Oh, you did that? I did that too. Let me tell you how I did it. It wasn't a lot of bragging. It was more like, oh, I've dealt with that and I had this
Right.
weird problem. Hey, have you ever ran into this? And it's
Yeah.
like, there's just the population has
Right.
grown for the amount of people that you can connect with and say, have you ever seen this? And you're not going to always get like deer in the headlights look, right? You're going to get
Right.
people who go like, yes, and
Yeah.
I
Or
have, and I don't.
guys are excited to be like, "Oh, I found out about this. Did you know about this?"
Yeah,
It's
right.
weird, you know.
It is.
Get to
It's fun.
see this guy hanging out at the
Yeah,
house
that's right. Yeah,
right there. I mean, it was cool to see Allison at the house, man.
yeah.
Nice, down to earth dude.
It's gotten fun. It's gotten
Dude.
fun.
Yeah, but
Right.
NCI had that flair, man.
NCI does have flair.
Yeah.
And their flair is, dude. Let me tell you what. Their candle is lit and it's burning bright right now. You know what I mean? Like Adam Muffich being over there. I'm just gonna say it. I mean, the whole team's a power.
Right?
They have a powerhouse team. But
Yeah.
we got love for Adam, man. Adam, I feels like one
Right.
of our inner circle, right? And him being over
We're
there,
a little
just
biased. Little
yeah, we're a
biased.
little biased,
Yeah.
and he's just lighting that fuse, man. It's
He
fun.
is.
So
But okay,
that's
may I just say this? I know you want to get into it, but all right.
all right.
So I think it might have been the last day. There was this gentleman there. He's been there since the beginning. I think his name was Jim Davis.
Yeah.
The guy with the blonde hair.
Yeah.
Okay, dude. I want a piece of what Jim's got. Dude, there was people going up to this guy and they were just like respecting this man for what he did with the industry. And like,
Well,
I was
that's
like,
because that dude basically is a rock star in the industry, bro.
he is.
He gets that respect because he's earned that respect
He
over
earned it.
many, many, many years. And we're
Right.
talking like 5 years. We're talking like a lifetime of achievement. That's
Yeah.
like a lifetime achievement award right there.
I just said a little fraction.
Yeah.
But I feel like he gave it.
You get it every week right here on the Grapevine Show. Bro.
That's
What are you
right.
talking about?
A
I
little
mean, there's
slice.
people in the chat. I mean, what else could you ask for?
That's not much, not much. But the way that I felt, a lot of people that were there were just they recognized him for an award, but it felt like more than that. It felt like it was like you said,
Yeah.
it's like a culture, man.
It was there's a big level of I must sum it up in one word. People are genuine at that conference. You know what I mean? Like they're so genuine.
Yeah.
Everything that you're feeling and talking to them from is just it's real. It's as real as
Yeah.
it gets. You know, nobody's there falsifying who they're trying to be
Right.
or anything
Right.
like that. They're not trying to be bigger than they are. It's just genuine people. You know, with genuine
Yeah.
comments and thoughts, trying to like learn some stuff while they're there or network while they're there. They're just they're letting all their cards be out on the table.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, people just really appreciative of what he's done. And yeah, I mean, Dave Richardson
Yeah.
over there. I mean, he's
Yeah.
awesome, dude.
Yeah, they got power. Dude, if they were a poker hand, I wouldn't want to be playing against them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. Right. Exactly. But I'm sorry, man. I cut you off. Let's get into
Oh,
this,
you're
man.
good. All right. Here is my first cultural killer item, shall we say. And this comes from firsthand experience. And so I've been on both sides of this one. And this is gonna take this is gonna be an interesting ride. So hang in there.
Yeah.
This one's gonna talk about bonuses. And I I'm not gonna say bonuses are bad, but I think that potentially too much value is given into bonuses. Hear me out. Hear me all
Right.
the way out, and then let's talk about it. Getting a bonus feels great. It feels great right then and there. You're like, sweet, bonus, awesome. So the owner has to write that bonus, and he's happy to, right? Obviously, it's been a good year. There's bonuses being cut. You hand it over.
Right.
The person on the receiving end's getting a bonus for that instant moment, maybe that day, max a week. There's just fire, right?
Right.
That instant fire, which is good. But is it the right decision? And let me say this. There's the amount of the bonus I think that comes into play in that story. Let's just put a fictitious number on here and say that that bonus was 10 grand. Okay,
Okay.
$10,000 bonus. It's a
I like
lot,
this
right?
bonus. That's nice.
Right. You do. Now, if you are on the receiving end of such a bonus, you feel really good, right? And in your mind, you're thinking to yourself, I would think, man, I must have really knocked it out the park this year. Like what?
Right.
And then you're playing the game in your brain of like, what did I do so well to earn this bonus for the year? Like, and what do I need to do moving forward to make sure it happens again? Because I like this. And if there's no metrics being applied to it, it's kind of hard to know that. So
Right.
you're judging yourself like, well, what action caused this? What do I need to try to do? Do I just how hard do I have to work to keep this going? And if there's no bar, you work yourself to death. And
Right.
if you pull back at all, it's not there, right? And so you're like constantly questioning yourself potentially. Now let's flip to the other side and say, okay, now you have an owner who's handing over that bonus that's large. And that owner is thinking probably two ways. He's
Right.
thinking, man, I'm happy to give this to this person because they've earned it. But there, I guarantee you, there is some sort of feeling that says, I hope this lights the fire and that person just keeps producing harder and harder and putting out more effort for the company for me, right? There's that level
Right.
of it too. And so I worry about larger bonuses like that playing too much of a cultural war or a band aid to bring in good culture when maybe okay, here's my statement, the polish off statement. I am of the opinion that when bonuses get to that degree or higher, really base pay should be moved up and bonuses should be brought back down to,
More
the
realistic.
$2,000, something like that, like something that you go, oh, that's nice, but
Like a
not something
Christmas
that,
bonus.
yeah, but not something that makes you go, whoa, like wait a minute, this impacts, our
Right.
decision on where we make, what we do in vacation, and
Right. Is it
it's
like the Griswold family Christmas? Are we going to be able to afford this pool?
bingo,
Right?
bingo, dude.
Are they going to abduct?
That is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. Look at the
Right.
emotions from that situation.
The
I mean,
family's destroyed by not
destroyed,
getting that bonus.
destroyed,
Yeah.
right?
They had
And
to
so,
abduct the boss, right? Then they bring him to the house.
yeah, that was a good movie. But it just goes to show you, it's a roller
Yeah.
coaster ride. It is a
Yeah.
roller coaster ride. And if you
Yep.
do it one year, is it to be expected year to year? You could even say, hey, next year's probably not going to be like this, but you
Right.
better believe somebody's going to be waiting on it. Like
Yeah,
they're
I
going to
could
be like,
just
sweet,
picture
I want it to
you
be like
like I don't know if we're gonna make that vacation this year. I don't know if the bonus is coming in. And what about the
so.
economy? You know?
Yeah, yeah. It's not just the work. It could be the economy takes a huge dip.
Right.
Just there is trends to HVAC, man. Like
There,
every
dude, that
they say
there's
every
trends,
so
bro.
many years you go through a growth cycle of like
Oh
so
yeah.
many, like equipment statistics of sales runs through a trend, right? So it's not necessarily just the person that can make a business kind of turn down or take
Let me
a
tell you,
slight
man.
slump.
There's a slump.
Yeah. I mean, people say there's a slump right now, to be honest with you. So you're probably not wrong.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like and I haven't been exactly keeping up with all that, but I hear it. I hear that people say that, new equipment sales are just kind of down comparatively. And maybe that's because we've changed a lot of equipment out, and we're in this situation where
Right.
we're in newer equipment, and now stuff's going to be, we'll go through like a repair phase, right? Until stuff gets, you know, older and older and older, and we go through a replacement phase. It's like
Yeah,
a
dude.
wave.
Things go in seasons, man. Life goes in seasons.
True. Yeah. There's
But
so many
but yeah,
dynamics to it.
it really is. And I agree with you, man. I don't think bonuses should be so high to where it's like, "Oh my
Yeah.
goodness, we didn't make it.
Well,
Can't pay the mortgage."
let's go right back to it. I just want to say one more thing about that. It's not that I don't want somebody to take this the wrong way. I'm not saying that that person shouldn't make that money. I just think the money should be applied more to the base pay. And the reason I say that is because I've tried different things even in my life on how to handle this situation. And what
Right.
I've learned is that people pay more attention and value their base pay over almost everything, no matter what it is. It is all about that base pay. Where do I stand? And I feel like the higher that gets, the more that person feels they're valued in the company. For
Right.
example, hear me
Right.
out. Let me play out a scenario.
Yeah,
Would you
let's do it. Let's
like,
let's run a scenario for a new guy, an old guy. Right.
would you want, what makes you feel like your longevity inside that company is just going to be grand for the next 20 years? Uh, $10,000 bonus with no increase in base pay, or uh, I don't know what the comparable would be, but let's just say a $4 increase in base pay. And so, like, hey, we're going to bump your base pay up to this, and you get $1,000 bonus check. You know what I'm saying? Would you rather see the base pay increase and know that it's just there from here on out, and it's only going to go potentially up from that, but it's now moved up to that? Would you rather see that, or would you rather see the big bonus? If you're in the chat, I'd be curious. What would you rather
Yeah.
see?
Yeah, that'd be
It's
good
a
to know. Yeah.
fun food for thought.
Yeah.
And then that's all
It,
I'm going to say about that one.
yeah, it's and like you work at a company and all of a sudden somebody new shows up, and I mean they get out, with the bonuses. It's difficult.
Oh, you mean if it's driven off sales or something? Like if the bonus strictly driven off sales?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know how the country is, but I mean, technicians in my area usually, technicians are usually hourly with
Yeah.
some spiffs, Christmas bonuses once in a while if the business does good. But yeah, I mean, commercial technicians and sales, they get some crazy bonuses, man. Yeah, base pay with
Base
smaller
pay with
bonus.
smaller bonuses.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
made a good argument.
Yeah.
So, so Tom's in here. Let's see what Tom said. He said, "Depends on your tax bracket. Once you get over a certain amount of bonuses here in California, 50% tax bracket. Whoa, that's a good insight right there. I didn't think about.
Say what?
Yeah,
50% tax, dude. I
yeah.
thought anything over 30% is like racketeering. Golly,
I don't know. In California, man, they do things differently.
they're like the mob. Man, I want to get in government, bro. To heck with this HVAC stuff. Woo!
Yeah.
I'm moving to California.
So, Mike, let me switch gears. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever worked for a company that has tried to build culture inside the company?
I worked for a kind of corporate company, and they tried to do a little bit of the sales culture where they would push guys off of each other. They would get the chalkboard out. Who's on the leaderboard type deal.
Yeah.
So well, it works a little bit.
Yeah.
It leads a little bit to I'll sell anything. Give me ice cubes. I'll sell ice cubes. At that point, it gets a little
Yeah.
gets a little scary. I'll
Yeah.
sell ice cubes to an Eskimo type stuff. So bring me the air scrubber. Bring me whatever you got. That electrostatic compressor killer. I'll sell 100 of those. You got to be careful with that, but it's good to push and give a little bit of a sales culture at the office, in my opinion.
Yeah. It's
It's a tight dance.
um I like when companies do cookouts. You know what I mean? And that's a twofold answer there. What I mean is, what I really meant to say is, like, sometimes coming in and cooking breakfast on, say, a Monday morning before the day starts, and you
Oh
just take
wow,
that
that's a
and like,
southern thing.
oh yeah, it's and you just go in early and you cook, right? And
Yeah,
that way,
dude,
there's
that's
like
cool.
there's a breakfast spread, and it's like, yeah, you're probably going to be a little late to your first call. Okay, we're going to just absorb that situation, but
Dude,
just
I've
that,
never seen nothing like that. I like that. That's
yeah,
that's
we
a
did.
cool culture, man.
We've done that, and it's, I don't know, that builds camaraderie right there. Is when
Yeah,
because breakfast doesn't cost a lot of money. It's
right.
cheap, dude. I mean, what I'm saying? Eggs, bacon, toast, and all that's pennies if you look at a company budget. But the time and effort to do it, right?
It says you give a crap about the guy
Yeah,
or the girl, or whatever. The office is in there too.
yeah.
Dude, that's
It
big, man. That's
it's
cool. I like that.
and it's fun, man. It's a good time to, it's a
Right.
good way to kick off the morning.
You get to see everybody, right?
Get to see everybody, but
Yeah.
it could get carried away too. Like, you could also, that could turn into where nobody leaves the office for about an hour and a half, you
Right.
know?
Right. There's always a
And
fine
so
line, man.
there's a fine line with that stuff, but that's a good one that I really enjoy,
Yeah.
I wish, I'm not saying people should do that. I'm just saying I wish people would do more of that.
I mean, dude, it goes a long way, man. It says to the people, we care, and hey,
Yeah.
breakfast is on me, right?
So,
That's big.
a second one. Here's another one. And I hate to beat a dead horse because we say this a lot, but training. Like,
Oh, dude.
here's the twist to that. Here's a twist, because I've done this. Don't train at your shop. So
Oh, really? Why not?
don't train at your shop because it's too easy to get distracted, and
Oh,
it's
okay.
not official
Oh,
training when it's
right.
at
This
your
is
shop.
just
It feels different, especially if you're tight with
right.
all your people and you all know each other well. You go to the shop.
Right.
They're used to going to the shop. So here's my advice: if
That's
anybody's out there wants
that's
a
good
wants a
advice, man.
creative one, um, pick and go, like, talk to a hotel, get their conference room, right, and maybe bring a trainer in, or do the training yourself. Either way, but
Right.
host a training off grounds. Get out of the shop, because they're
That is
so
a good
used to the
idea.
shop. They mentally are connecting the shop with day to day grind, and it's not.
Yeah.
It's different. You know what I mean? You
This is
got to
just
do it in a
another
different.
day at the office.
You got to
Right.
do it in a different location. You got it. What you're doing is you're setting the tone. You're setting the tone that this is an official training and we're on training time, and people value being trained. You know what I mean? Like especially when the training's gonna be good. And if you got to bring in a trainer for that, bring in a trainer for that. That way
Yeah.
the training's good, it's valued. People like to know that today I'm getting something more than going to fix something, and my education of this trade is going up. Right? That
Right.
is a feel good. That is something that you can't replace with money
Yeah. I'd love to get
unless
some.
you go spend a bunch
It's
of
getting
money.
cooler here, man. I'd love to get a couple of training seminars again locally with these 2 or 3 AC companies. Oh,
Yeah,
Mechanical Environments is here. What's up?
yeah, man. We got to get a
Yeah,
show
it's
back with them. That
yeah.
that was the show
You
we did
just want to
about
use the
weed,
pot
wasn't it?
leaf again. That's all. You just want to throw that leaf
Yeah,
up there.
yeah. So I'd be curious if you're in the chat and I'd like to hear the highs and lows from someone else too, about what a company has done to like make culture go up or what brought culture down. Um,
Right.
you know,
I
I'm
think
just
I
trying to
think the
share my personal experiences to maybe they're good, maybe they're bad. I don't know.
yeah.
Maybe
I
it
think
gives
the
you an
culture
idea.
killer, man, is big with the pitting people against each other in a company as far as sales go. But that company I
Yes.
was working for was, geez, golly, our base pay was so minimal. It was like $10 an hour, maybe to 18, and it was all
Yeah.
commission based.
Yeah.
So it was cutthroat.
Yeah, that's so I won't name names or anything like that, but I've been around the block to kind of know how different companies do different
Right.
things.
Hey,
And I
Doug.
could well, you said that like we're not pointing at you, Doug. That's not what that statement was meant for. But I know of companies, man, that battle internally for work.
Oh,
Like
really? Okay.
internally, like they have different project teams and they may be like basically talking to the customer independently from one another from the same company to
Oh my
battle for
God.
the yes, to battle for the
Seriously?
sale. Yes. We're talking like commercial work on in this
Oh,
scenario.
right. Okay,
But
gotcha.
and because that salesman's bonus is dictated on the sales. And
Yeah.
I don't know how you run a company like that for the life of me.
Right?
That one kind of is wild when you have your own company maybe contacting a customer coming from two different channels. That's kind of strange to me. I don't know how
All
you
right.
do that, but
So now I'm starting to get flashbacks of that company.
yeah,
And there was almost like fist fights now that I think about it.
yeah,
Because they would be like, okay, so and so, you've been doing the maintenance there. They request you. They're they're your customer, right? And then they would call in. Let's say they would call in and say, hey, last technician talked about this upgrade. I don't know, UV lights or whatever, right? And they call in, and the dispatcher would send somebody else out, and there goes that commission. And there you go, man. People freak out, dude.
yeah,
That's $300, whatever.
yeah.
You,
That's
you know,
if someone's straight up commission based only, that's a lot of money, bro. three
yeah,
hundred
dude.
dollars is like it's a day. That's a day's rate.
Yep,
It's a lot of
that's a
money to
day's
take out.
pay. So that
Yeah,
happened a couple of times while I was working there, and that looked pretty ugly, man.
yeah, I bet. Yeah,
That's a killer right there, bro. So I mean, I'm all right with commissions, but it's working with 20 something guys, and it gets a little hairy sometimes, man.
yeah,
Now that I'm thinking
yeah.
about it,
Um,
it'll bring the bad out of people.
yeah, and it's man, I don't want to beat up side work, but I feel like if I'm being honest with myself and the community that watches this show, I got to lay this one down because it's truthful. And like when I was first getting into the game, like money mattered. We needed money, but well. Let me say this: we had money. Okay, like we weren't broke.
Right.
We could have not did man. I don't even know if I want to say this.
You take your
We did,
time.
we were doing jobs and people were paying us in cash. There,
Right,
that's what I'll say. Right. Um, as a company grows and you get more people that work for you on your team and your team gets large,
right.
side work becomes uh chaotic to manage, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
Like should like um I guess what I'm saying is as our family business got bigger, we eventually cut it out completely. So we made a decision where we had asked everybody in the company, we said, "Hey, look, this is what we're going to do." We felt that if we did not allow it, we would bring more work into the company, and so we would have more work, and all that kind of stuff. So we raised
Right.
base pay for everybody
Oh
in a
wow. Okay.
in a request that we wouldn't do it anymore. And that's
That's
how
interesting, dude.
that was our trade-off. Our trade-off was like, hey, we're gonna, and I don't remember what the base, I mean, this is years and years ago, but I think we did something like I want to say it was like $2 a per person. We raised everybody's base pay, and we said,
Dude,
hey,
that's
and
that's interesting.
it was like side work stops today. Nobody does it anymore because it was like we're too big, it's too confusing.
It's
It's
confusing.
just
Yeah.
it's just gonna be it's gonna be it was people get mad,
Right. There was
like
one company in my town where they were like we're fine with it. You're gonna do it on the job. You're gonna use the truck, and I forgot how they divvied up the. Because I mean, you know, a normal residential changeout, you're using like around $200 worth of material on the truck, easy.
yeah,
Two,
for
300.
sure. Yeah.
Well,
Well,
I mean,
when a stick of
not
solder is like $4, I mean, it doesn't take long.
right, and you got gas, you got, I mean,
Yeah,
fittings,
it's
copper fittings. I mean, yeah, it gets a little
yeah,
crazy.
yep, it
So,
does.
I think they ran it through the business and they paid him a different rate. I could be wrong, but I'm gonna hit my buddy up tomorrow. He still works there, and you know, because it's interesting. Like you
Yeah.
raise the rate across the board. That's cool, man.
Well, I have
That's
learned,
interesting.
and I've learned this more and more as I went on. You can't you can't take something away and not give something in return. If that
Oh no,
unless
you
that
could do it. You could
you
do it.
well you yeah you could, but I can tell you a
Because let me
lot of
tell you,
times
man,
that
that
doesn't work
company I
very
was
well.
talking about, they hired a corporate guy that was like, "We are gonna send this place to the moon and back," right? And dude, he took the spares off of the damn trucks, man.
What?
Yeah, yeah,
Wow.
I guess for better gas miles, dude. It
That's
went.
wild.
Yeah. So
Yeah. No,
you
I
can
I
take, but then a guy got a flat, and then you had to pay two guys to fix a flat. So, but I hear you. Yeah, man. What you
yeah, I
guys did
think
was cool.
no, I think what you have to do is I think if you're going to take anything away, you have to put something back in its place and it has to be of equal or better value. That's
Yeah,
I think that if you're running a business, I think that's what you have to have in your brain. You have to be thinking about it that way. Say
yeah.
if I'm gonna remove something and that person's done nothing wrong, uh,
The
you have
house
to
is here.
you got yeah, I've seen that. House
But
made it.
yeah, but I mean, dude, culture killer was, I think, having a regional guy come in and just step on everybody's necks.
Oh
That's
man.
a rough one. That's a
So
morale booster.
I've never dealt with this before in life, but this is what you said is interesting. Is bringing in talent, and I bet I don't know how to handle this. I'll be straight up with you, and I've never been in a position I've had to handle this, but I think there is value in bringing someone into a business that's got the skill set to manage a business, like a just straight up a manager of business, right?
Right.
Somebody who's got the like I know how we are all blue collar, and we talk about like there's the white collar blue collar fight and all that stuff. But let me tell you what, dude,
Right.
there are some people who have the right level of education on the white collar side that they know
Yeah.
exactly how to run a business and manipulate taxes and all that kind of stuff to make a business just be profitable, right? They
Yeah, I
know how
agree.
to work the game on the white collar side.
Yeah.
And that is beneficial for the blue collar people who are part of that company because he's doing it to make the whole team successful.
Right.
But that person usually makes a lot of money to bring them in, right? And I think that person gets looked down upon a lot because they come into the company, they're kind of high on the hill of rank, and they're not
Yeah.
doing physical labor, they're doing blue collar labor, and that person just knows what they're doing, and what they do does not get seen by most people, right?
Yeah, it's true.
What
It's
they're
true.
doing is back end stuff a lot of times or something. Maybe they're making marketing decisions or
Yeah.
accountant decisions or whatever. But if that person does their job well, you feel the effects of it. But
Yeah.
it's really hard to get that person this, and I think this is important because this is a part that I think a lot of HVAC companies struggle with
Hmm.
the most is finding that person, getting them in, and having them accepted as part of the team. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
welcoming that person in, and not
Right.
everybody just being like, Psh, "Who's this
Hmm.
guy?" You know?
Everybody gives a psh,
Yeah.
psh. Listen to this
So
guy.
I don't know.
It's
I
tough. It really is.
I think there could be a lot of value of bringing somebody like that into a business. But I guess the question is how do you bring somebody like that into the business and make sure that they're well received? Because
That's a good question,
that's a
man.
huge culture killer if you don't bring them
Woo!
in the right way.
It's a culture slayer, bro. It really
It
is,
is.
especially
It
when he
is.
pulls up in his Corvette.
Bingo. You nailed
You
it.
know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. When he comes in
Yeah.
and that
Yeah.
person has to obviously approach the situation with the right attitude too. And,
Yeah.
and if they're worth their salt, they do know how to
Yeah.
handle that
You
situation.
guys are missing out on an opportunity here. It's like
Yeah.
there's some lingo, man, that I cringe when I hear it.
Yeah. So in some of my experience, and I would say this is some experience that I've learned from being at TEC is I was going to do a follow up to that statement. I could see that going down at TEC and being handled really well. Like,
Hmm.
and this is kind of talking about like Steve and Bill, who are the owners. They know how to handle that situation. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
I'm sure they wouldn't think twice to hire somebody who'd be my boss tomorrow. You know what I mean? And
Right.
I'd be okay with it. Uh, because they know how to lay the groundwork. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
they've got that kind of stuff figured out. I don't know. I don't know what it is. It's just different. Um,
Some
I don't
companies
know.
have it, man. It
Is
it
it,
just
it
it comes organic for them.
yeah, I don't know. And maybe it's just like working for guys who like I'm outmatched. Like if I when I and I hate to say this so publicly, but I'll just say it, man. Like Steve and Bill are smarter than me by like when it comes to business by a long shot. So like I value their decision. You know what I'm saying? So it's like
Oh yeah.
it's would be smart for me to just kind of sit back and watch the masters work and do
And
their thing.
listen.
You know what I mean? And if
But
they're like, "Hey, this
I'm
we're bringing
glad you
this guy
said
in.
that.
He's doing this, and this is what's happening," it's like, okay, like I'm gonna play ball. Like,
I'm
what are we
glad you
doing?
said that because if we were in a regular HVAC meeting on Monday, and it's
Yeah,
7 in the morning, and you got mechanics in there, and some guy comes in out of nowhere, they're just like they're not very receptive.
yeah, yeah. I would bet my owners would probably it wouldn't be like that. I guess is what I'm
Right.
trying to say. It wouldn't be like, hey, boom, this just happened. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
House made a good point. Like Bill and Steve have both worked for like large corporations, so
Yeah, that's a good point, Mike. Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. They work
they
for really big, like
yeah, really
global,
big, and they were big dogs at big corporations. You know what I'm saying? So like
right?
they've had to do this before, so they kind
Yeah.
of know
They might have
what they're
picked up a
doing.
lot of good stuff and dropped a lot of bad stuff that they saw.
Yeah. So
You know?
how do we learn? How does the blue collar side of the world learn these skills? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because I feel like this is part of the culture killer. Is we
Yeah,
all
dude.
every
I think we're touching on the nerve
I
right now.
I think we're talking about stuff that people really don't ever want to talk about because it's
Yeah,
sensitive. You know what I
it
mean?
is.
And the truth is, blue collar people who own blue collar businesses, because you maybe built that business from the ground up. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
I'm one of those people. I've done it. You really think in your mind that bringing in somebody to maybe come run your company on the business side is going to piss everybody off when maybe it won't. You just think
Right.
it will, so you never even think about making that decision because you
Right.
feel that the whole team's just not going to accept it. And maybe the truth is, and I'm looking at myself in the mirror here, the truth is you think that it's not going to be accepted well, so you don't do it. And you never do it. And you never put somebody over top of you, right? When maybe you should
Right.
have. Man,
Yeah.
I just shot myself in the face, you know what I'm saying?
It's tough, man. My buddy, he's had a company for a good 15 something, maybe 20 years. And he always says the slogan, I'm going to hire people that are smarter than me, right? And that's coming from
Yeah.
a humble spot, right? Um
Yeah.
a lot of different people bring different things to the table, right? And HVAC business, in my opinion, it's tough. I think it's tough. Some people might be like, it's no different than running another company like a Dunkin' Donuts. But in my opinion, I don't know. It's it's a little difficult.
You
You got
made
a
a
lot of
good
different dynamics, man.
um Steve, man, so I was sitting with Steve one day and we were talking about this, and somebody asked him a question, and Steve basically made a comment. Now, I'm going to botch how he said it, but he was like, I don't do that. Chris does that. He goes, that's why I hired Chris. He's like, Chris is good at that. That's what Chris does. And I'm like, okay. Like, Steve basically said, what he would say if he was sitting here is,
Right.
man, we should have just pulled Steve in. I think he kind of looks at it. He's like, if you hire the right people, you don't have to do all the jobs, right?
Right. You have
Because
to
those
wear all
people,
the hats.
you don't have to wear all the hats. And I think a
Right.
lot of HVAC blue collar businesses, the owners wear lots of hats. You're the guy doing,
I agree.
tell me if I'm wrong. If you own the company and it's say like six people or less or something like that, you're doing a lot of the quotes yourself. You're doing the load
Dude.
calculations yourself. You're
Yeah.
probably doing a portion of the paperwork yourself. You're probably doing all of the scheduling in the morning yourself. There, I could stop there, but the list probably goes on and
It
on and
keeps
on and
going,
on,
man.
right?
My one buddy I work with, he's like that, dude. He's spread himself so thin. I feel so bad. I'm like, listen, anything you need, man, I'm here to help, man. And
Yep.
dude, sometimes it gets so busy where he's just, you could feel it on him. He's
Tension.
revving.
Yep.
Yeah, he's like,
Yep. And
he's vibrating with energy.
you know what that does? It makes you this much more richer because you did do it all yourself. And you know what it
Right?
does? It makes your um what's the word I'm looking for? Um your patience with people went from this
Yeah.
to this for this much money. That's what it really does.
Yeah.
That's what's really going on that we're not talking about enough. We're
Yep.
reducing our patience level to nothing for a little bit more money because we don't want to share roles and maybe share a little bit of the capital because of it.
Right.
That's what's
I
wrong,
agree,
I think,
dude.
with the blue collar world.
I agree, man. And it's tough. And sometimes they're in their own little universe where they're not plugged into certain groups like we have, right? And they don't know when to say, hey, enough's enough. Let me get a GM. Enough's enough. Let me get a secretary. I don't have a secretary.
Well,
I'm taking
let
all the
me
calls, right?
let me ask you a question. This one also goes to the chat. I see there's some people chatting. Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
How do you go shopping for a GM?
Right. Yeah. I wouldn't know.
I mean, what do GMs look for jobs of running HVAC businesses with the owner?
Right. Is there a spot on
is that a thing?
on LinkedIn?
Yeah.
Let me go look on LinkedIn right now.
I mean, how many people? Okay. Another question.
Right.
Let's say you've decided you do want that person. What skill sets are you looking for?
Yeah. What do
Do
you
you
put up
know?
front?
Do you know what skill sets you want out of that person?
Yeah. This is
Like,
why I say an HVAC business is a lot different than open up a Dunkin' Donuts. And I'm not sponsored by Dunkin' Donuts, okay? This podcast, this is not. We're not sponsored tonight.
it's true though. It's
America
like,
runs on Dunkin', though, guys. Don't forget.
how do you know? How do you know who should be that person?
I just got paid $10 for that slogan.
I know, man. We got to make it some kind of way.
When are we gonna get a sponsor?
I don't know, man. Maybe one day. Maybe House will sponsor us.
Sponsored by this old house.
Yeah. Right.
The Frankenstein system coming to a neighborhood near you.
So, man, I'll be honest with you. Like, I'm pouring it all out
glad
tonight.
you brought it up.
But
somebody had to say it.
I'm basically, so it's just, man, running this show has been a lot of fun. And it's funny because it's live, I'll then go like talk to my wife and I'll be like, man, I probably shouldn't have said that. And I'm definitely going to do that after this show. Like, to the point I might even go cut some stuff out. But it's like,
there's an edit button.
But isn't it the whole point of this show is to talk about the uncomfortable things? That way they're talked about and they're not just continually swept under the rug. Dude, air conditioning, blue collar small businesses have been around forever and they're not going to go anywhere. And there's this vicious cycle of mom and pop shop gets bought out by the hedge fund company.
Yes.
Those people disperse, start their own businesses. The cycle repeats.
Dude, yeah.
All that keeps happening.
It's crazy.
Why can we not make the mom and pop shops be generational lasting? What's missing?
I know. What is going on? You're right.
Is it something that's missing? And is it and I've lived my whole life with this problem, most of it until recently. And I'll tell you what our problem was. Our problem was we did not have someone who knew how to truly manage. That's that. If I could sum it up in one word, it's manage.
We needed. Right. Now that I'm looking back on it, dude. I mean,
we needed a manager. We needed a manager who was worth his salt. And
dude,
we made plenty of money. I
watched a company that was on cruise control.
Yeah.
And the guy gave it to his son, and it just turned to dust, dude.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, man. I loved my time inside the family business. I learned a ton, right? A ton. I became a phenomenal mechanic there. And I learned a lot of bad managerial skills because why? Everything was reactional. Oh, we got to do something about this. We got to do something about this, right? No foresight planning.
Right.
And like I wish
three guys quit. What are we going to do? Right.
If I could do it, there's the old saying, if I could do it all over again, but if I could do it all over again, and I probably wouldn't have gotten the full say so because it was like a lot of family tied into it, but I would have seeked out somebody with college credentials that were hefty, and I would have paid that person a hella good 6-figure salary to come in and manage our business. And if that meant that person had to be my boss, I'd have been like, okay. I'd have had to just swallow that pill and just said, okay, fine.
I hear you, man.
I think it would have been good to have somebody dictating us, telling us, hey, these are your railroad tracks. This is what you do here. This is what you're good at. This is what you do.
Stay in the lane.
Stay in your lane, That'd have been good. I could have benefited to hear that from somebody. Yeah. Now, I was younger, and I would have gotten really pissed off about it. That's definitely possible.
But
it would have been good for me.
Looking back on things is so much easier, like you said.
Yeah.
But yeah. I mean, I mean, we're spilling the beans, dude. I mean,
Yeah.
you and I have been in the trade for a while, so I mean,
Yeah.
that's what the grapevine's about. Is
Spilling the beans, man.
just
Spill the beans.
don't do what I did, right? And you got to see a good value if you brought somebody in with like a really good, what would you say, a business
Well,
degree, right?
this has been a hot topic between me and a lot of our inner circle of friends that we see at conferences
Mm-hmm.
and stuff. We'll go eat dinner. We'll talk about what their
Yeah.
struggles are and all that kind of stuff. This one always circles the drain every freaking time
Okay.
I go to a conference. And I said, you know what? I was like, I don't exactly have a script for this, but I want to have a show
Right.
about it. And I was like, I could at least maybe throw a couple things at it and maybe it'll spark interest. I don't know. If you got something good out of it, give us a thumbs up. If you
Yeah.
didn't, give us a thumbs down.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Or go watch Tersh Blissett. He's got a
Yeah.
bunch of stuff on business.
Yeah, he does.
Tersh is killing it on the business end, man.
Yeah,
And,
it would be worth checking out a few of his shows. Like one time, I think
Yeah.
he had a big dog from Chick-fil-A on there.
Oh, really?
I'd like to go back and watch that show and see what that business model is all about.
Yeah.
I heard
I'm
it's
so
interesting.
small. It's just me. It's like
Yeah, but you have your wife who tells you what to do, so you're set, man.
all time. All time. But yeah, man, it's it can get scary though, because if you go never go full, and then you'll drive off the the blue collar guys. If you go full like speed with the whole corporate and we're gonna go sale. I mean,
Yeah.
it's tough. It's difficult, man.
I'll tell you. You're making me think about another culture killer, man. Is changing your business practices. Like what you're like. Look, I'm not saying. How do I want to say this? I've seen businesses go from time and material to flat rate, and the prices go from like $200 to $700 overnight.
Right. That's what I'm
Right?
talking about. You never
Now-
go full throttle. You gotta
What-
just kind of weasel it in a little bit.
Yeah, like if you're a tech, you're used to technicians are very creatures of habit, right?
Right.
We go into the office every day, we get a cup of coffee, we get in our service truck, we
You
got
eat
our
your
list
sandwich.
of things to do, like we like that. We get in a routine. We like a routine. And then technicians have big hearts. We
See,
all know.
Tom, that's what I'm talking about, Tom.
We have big hearts. And so like when you feel like you just put a capacitor and some other parts in on Monday,
Yeah.
and it was $250, and then you go do the same thing for another customer the next Monday and it's $700. The
Right.
technician in his brain is like, whoa, I hope this customer doesn't talk to that customer at the grocery store because I'm here and this is my name on the shirt, company name, but also my name. Right. And so there's
Exactly.
a fear factor there. And so you got to have some deeper conversations with the team of what you're doing, why you're doing it. Break it
And
down
don't get
for
me
them,
wrong.
why you're doing it.
You might be charging like $80 for a contactor. You might be charging $100 for a capacitor.
Hey,
you got to bring it up.
I'm not saying that. Yeah, I'm not saying that charging the appropriate amount's a problem. I'm just saying if you go from this to this and you're not telling your team
That's
why,
what I'm talking about. Yeah.
like, and it can't just be like we need to make more money.
Right.
You better bring in some of those managerial skills and have a real talk with that team and say, hey, here's the deal. In the next 5 years, I'm trying to get the company from here to here.
There you go. Beautiful.
My roadmap means that we have to change some things to make this happen. Because if I can get from here to here, this is what this means for you along the way. Now,
and
if we
don't
do this
feel like
together,
you have to explain every little thing to the guys.
Yeah.
But like what Chris is saying, if you're saying, hey, I want to get one more secretary in here, can we need to charge a little bit more, and this is what it's for. It's not going for another boat. I'm not going to get another Corvette. Just explain to the guys why prices are going up. And if you're charging $180 for a contactor and then you're charging $700, the guys are going to freak out. They're going to freak
Yeah.
out. They might leave.
Or I like to keep everything at percentages because it's like, hey, look, I've did my research and
Yeah.
businesses typically average of spending this much in these bucket categories.
Yeah.
And I've looked at our business model and comparatively to the other ones. And to keep up with our competition and do the right thing,
There you go.
We're a little low in this bucket, which means we had to bring our prices up because that's the only way this offsets this. And
Yep.
so, and then
It's all
you
about
got to
communication, man.
Yeah, you got to communicate.
Got to communicate.
You got to talk to your team, man.
Yeah.
I think the techs of the world are down with it, but they want to feel like they're part of the decision. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
oh, okay, we're doing this together. Like we're as a team.
Dude, especially when you're a company, you tell the technicians it's part of your business too.
Yeah.
And then inconveniently, sometimes you're like, no, it's not really yours.
So, all right,
That's
here's my last thing I'm going to say tonight, but this is my pet peeve. And this is when I see people say, well, it's not my company. You know what I mean? Like, this is what I want to say to that. Even the owner, and let's just say smaller company, the owner's drawing a paycheck because he's actually working for that company as well, right?
Right.
So everybody who works for that company, right, is part of the team. Even the company owner is part of the team. And your pay and everybody else's pay, even the owner's pay, comes from doing work, comes from running business, right? So like,
yeah,
people say, well, I don't own this company. Okay, that's a fair statement, but you draw money from this company and the owner draws money from this company, and you're kind of like part of the company. And if you don't feel that way, you should, in my opinion, you should go to another company. But if you don't feel like you're really part of the company as a whole, even as a technician without the ownership structure being tied to your name, you bounce because your heart's not there right now. You know what I'm saying? You're not happy. That's my opinion. So there needs to be some soul searching there.
It's and in some places it's tough. There's not a lot of companies in the town, but you got you don't want to be grumpy at a place, man, and be the sour apple, man. But you know what? I want to pivot. I want to talk about what's going on with the TrueFlow grid. I have not been able to open up the new app, man, because I've been jamming, man. I had a lot of stuff going on.
I thought you meant it was broken.
No,
I was like, dude, you're supposed to report it to me if it's broken.
I'd like to say it live on the show that it's broken.
Thanks,
no, it's good. It's working. I opened up, like when it dropped, I did a quick demo, and then I haven't been able. I've been slammed, dude.
Yeah. What do you want to know? You got 2 minutes, bro. It's 58 minutes in the show. You got 2 minutes. What do you want to know?
I just want to.
Minus the outro. So you got about a minute 30.
I'll go over on the outro. How's that?
All right.
All right. Forecasting's here, right?
Forecasting is out, bro. Forecasting is out, and that's probably one of the funnest things I've ever been a part of.
Oh, that's just cool, fun. Man.
Yeah, it's like it's one thing. It's like I'll tell you guys straight up, man. Like I obviously I go to work for money. You know what I'm saying? Everybody needs to make money to live, but it's just straight up fun, dude. Like that like what you're a part of is going to change people's decisions, which is going to change people's lives. And when you start to look at that on a bigger scale, right?
Right.
Like showing up every day and getting to work on something that people are going to use in a mass scale that's large of people, that's going to enhance their decision making in things that I have done in my life that I knew took me time and were more difficult. And to be honest with you, didn't even do, right? Because it was too difficult to do into the field. And now being able to be a part of something that goes out to the world that makes decisions happen in like seconds.
So you're trying to tell me that TEC is changing the industry?
I mean, of course I'm supposed to say that, but I also feel
I
like
don't
we
work for
are. Yeah.
TEC. I'm saying it,
Yeah, I think
dude.
so. I think we're doing
Dude,
some good
I'm
stuff.
the biggest fan of the True Flow Grid, dude. If I
Yeah,
was
it's
three
fun.
years into the trade right now, it would be geeking out with that thing so much. I am already, and I'm 20 something years
Yeah.
into it.
You know what I should do? I should go try to like observe some people who are new to the trade with the tool rather than people who are salty and been around the trade
Uh
forever
huh.
who have the tool. Cause it's like
Yeah.
when you've been a tech your whole life, it's all you know. And people who like have the tool, they know it. You know, it's crazy. I feel like most people who have a true flow
Yeah.
are people who uh
They
could
felt the pain
they
of
well they
not
felt
knowing
they
what the
felt the
airflow
pain,
is.
but they're people who probably have already spent money on other methods and could, you know, pick another method, take
Right.
longer to do it, could do fan law 2 in their head with a calculator on their phone. I mean, these people are
Okay.
sharp, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Watch 2 hours of Bill Spohn talking about every single airflow method,
yeah.
pitot tube, and it all doesn't work that great.
Yeah, I feel like the base of that of the people who have acquired that tool are people who are just I'm a cuss, but they're badass, dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I don't see typically too much chatter on people who are super green to the industry who have acquired that tool. I don't see a lot of
Okay.
feedback from those people. And I'm not saying
Okay.
there's nothing wrong with that.
Maybe it's because, let
Like,
me jump in here. Maybe it's because of
please do.
old technicians like me have been doing it for 20 years.
Yep.
And we've been there a bunch of times telling the customer, I don't know what's wrong with this. And that feeling of, I can only speak for myself. Not knowing what the airflow is exactly on a unit just bothered me. And I've run into a lot of airflow issues. So
Yeah.
maybe new technicians aren't feeling that
Well,
angst.
let me ask you a question. How many years in the trade did you put in till the light bulb finally went off to where you were like, damn, airflow is pretty important? you know,
It was a
I'm not gonna
while, dude.
like it was a while for me too.
Yeah.
I mean,
It
it
was a
takes so
long freaking time, man.
and it's because you're spending years in the trade learning a lot of different things, man. And
Yes.
people
Yeah,
say airflow first, like you should learn that at trade school first. I get that, and
I
and
think it was
I
more than 6 years, bro.
I
It's
more than most
bad.
should probably say yeah, but who knows, man? I mean, put me back in the seat 20 something years ago and ask me that question. I don't know what my
Yeah.
answer would be. It's hard. You have to learn a lot of stuff. You have to learn electricity. Um, Low voltage is part of electricity, but it's like low voltage, high voltage, two different animals, really. And you're
And
having to
and you
put those
and you're
worlds
just
together.
happy keeping a job sometimes.
It's true, man.
You know?
Yeah, and so yeah, like I'll tell you this, man. I'll tell you a all right, this is my last story. I can remember being in an attic and I was probably 19 years old and I was running a service call at a customer's home. And my dad was a really awesome technician. And so the people I worked with, people thought I was going to be really, really good right out the gate. I was not really good right out the gate. It doesn't work that way. And I wanted to be good because I wanted to have the same reputation. And I used to get so upset, man, on service calls when I couldn't figure something out. And I just remember like being on a service call for a furnace one day. And I just like I troubleshooted, I couldn't figure it out, man. And I'm just like not having a nervous breakdown, but I was so mad that like tears were rolling out of my eyes because I was just pissed off. And I remember just like hitting the top of the furnace because I was so mad. And then I remember like I
I've done
remember
that
like
before.
I remember like looking up and like praying and saying, I just need help. Like I don't know what I'm saying.
I've done that
Like
multiple times in front of an air handler. Why is it
Yeah.
always in front of an air handler? I don't know
I
why.
don't know, but I'm having this conversation with the Almighty, and I'm thinking, do I just need to find a different job? Am I not good at this? And then I look, dude, I'm serious. And then I look down at the
No, I'm
furnace.
with you, man. I've been there before, dude. I'm like, I'm going to be a plumber.
This is sad, but hear me out. I look down at the furnace and I just get like, not even 20 seconds later, I see a burnt wire. And I go, that really? A burnt wire?
There you go.
And I went right into technician mode. And I was like, well, that needs to be fixed. And I literally like cut it, stripped it, relanded the wire, everything ran. And I'm like, huh. And then I had to ask myself, was it always the burnt wire? Or was the Almighty looking out for me on this one? I don't know. And I've never told anybody that till now.
Oh, well, I'll tell you what, man. That's a good story for the end of the show.
Isn't that a good story?